Hello, Katarina Suzanne here, Grapevine Adventures with Suzanne Branciforte, Grapevine Experience, as usual. Today we will talk about wine sales and the presence on social media during this coronavirus lockdown and how it has changed during this period. I will start checking in here that we're shared everywhere, but anyway, if you follow us, please share the stream if you feel like that, and make a comment below. Say hello in a comment below, then we can show it in the window here. So Suzanne, do you want to start presenting our topic today? I actually have wine today because it's aperitivo hour. This is actually not an Italian, but a Swiss Petit Alvin. And you?
I am drinking a little Puglia. I've got a lovely Primitivo di Manduria here that is going to bring me all of the sunshine and warmth and joy of Puglia, because I've been traveling virtually through my wine glass. I think we all have, probably, or at least I hope we have been. And in this moment of coronavirus that is drastically changing how we live our lives, nothing we can do about that. I think we're grasping onto some reliable old friends. We can't travel physically, so we can travel through our wine glass to places where we have been or places we would like to go. And it's one of the ways, you know, the power of our sensorial memory is even stronger than the power of just our memory trying to come up with dates and times and places. If we smell a lovely aroma, or even more when we taste something, it unlocks all different parts of our brain to remember things. So I'm remembering lovely sunshine in a masseria. And
well, I think I know which one you're talking about. So then I know exactly which vineyard it is also.
We won't name
going from nothing to just. I think there's a 100-old vineyard on one side, and then the new planted on the other side, just in front of the masseria, if I remember the right winery here, which I think I do. I think they know who we're talking about.
But this is one of the fun things, and we have to find fun where we can, because listen, people, if we're not going to have fun at a time like this, then we're really making a big mistake. We should always be trying to have a little fun. But at times like this, we have to really make sure that we have a little fun. So one of the ways that wine communication is changing to respond to how wine sales are changing, right? We talked about this informally, Katarina, during the week, didn't we? About how many emails we've gotten from wineries, small, medium, and big wineries that we didn't realize had our email addresses, wineries who never reached out to us before are reaching out to say, hey, would you like us to send you a couple of bottles, a case, this, that. There's all kinds of marketing tools being used, buy two, get one free, whatever, what is it in the Italian version? They say paghi due, prendi tre, right? I mean, there's all kinds of deals being made, and people are trying to rise to the occasion of this emergency to make sales. Okay, so how we're purchasing the wine is changing, how we're getting to know the wines is changing, and how people are therefore communicating their wine is changing. It's all changing. So that's why I'm holding on to an old friend here in the glass, because so much of what we're doing is in flux right now.
No, for sure. I agree. I mean, actually today it felt incredible because I got the olive oil delivery and I got to see a real person on a distance, but we met and we talked, and it felt very surreal to kind of, after 4 weeks. Okay, you see people when you go shopping your groceries, but you don't really know them, so it's not the same thing.
Well, I did the thing that I read some newspaper or something said how people are making, hi Marco, a
Yeah, I
ritual.
just wanted to say hello to Marco, who is here today.
Yeah.
He's one of my trusted followers, which is very cool. So I hope you will enjoy. Spero che ti piacerà il nostro live stream. And any of the others of you who are following us, feel free to ask questions and just jump in, and I will tune in the questions. What were you saying? You continue?
You said about seeing someone in the supermarket. I did what I read about in the newspaper today. Yesterday, I wrote to a friend who's got a scooter, which I don't have. I'm usually either bringing my groceries home with a car or by foot, because I tend to just do my little pickup of a couple of things. But I actually asked this friend if she would like to help me jockey my Speza back to the house. This way I could see her, because we're not allowed to get together, right? So
yeah.
we met, outside the supermarket. It felt very almost, rebellious and pushing those limits. But no, it was wonderful, because just to see somebody that not through a screen, and even with the, the distances, and frankly, it did help get my my groceries home, and I that way I could still walk and not use the car, because it's the only way we can get any physical exercise is to go to the supermarket. Even the children now, the one child that's allowed to go with one parent to the supermarket, hey, everybody's, celebrating that. And the weather is so temptingly gorgeous and sunny.
That's true. So we have another, Katarina is actually, she lives just next to where I'm from in Sweden, in the very south. She's a very avid wine lover. So welcome, and I hope you will enjoy it. So we actually have we have a couple of people listening in already. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, to go and buy groceries. Luckily, I have the supermarket very close by, so I don't have any problems to carry several bags home. But yeah.
But you also really the excuse of getting a little extra time in the fresh air. I'm very thankful for that, because it's we're getting stir crazy. But speaking of how wine consumption and shopping changes, I'm going to show a picture here, because for today, for the very first time, I got a shipment from Tannico. I had never shopped Tannico before. Okay.
No, I shopped several others, but I haven't shopped Tannico, I must admit.
Well, I said, it's one of the most famous ones out there. Certainly in Italy, everyone always wants to know what's on Tannico. And I said, this is truly something. If I'm buying on Tannico, I took it as I could have gone down to the cellar, but I said, let me take an opportunity to navigate and do a little homework and find out who is on Tannico. And I went through all of the regions of Italy. I went through all of the various countries to see who is represented and what the prices were like, what the sales were like. And frankly, if in this moment of coronavirus, it is that easy to click and get things a few days later, it's kind of like the Amazon thing. Once you're on, you're kind of hooked. And
for sure. I actually want to do the wine delivery. They deliver in 30 minutes, so it's pretty cool. But I think it's only like Milan, Florence, Rome, and some other city. No, but I mean, I see also there's a lot of wine shops like Enoteca who also have online shops now, and I think they're doing fairly well with organizing their deliveries. So I think it's also, as we said before, it could be also a push for wineries to do this more, to invest more in the e-commerce, I think, because also as I discussed with Vincenza, who is working in China, that also in China during the coronavirus, the sales for the e-commerce, even if they're already very good in China, they went up like, I don't know, 70-80% or something.
Sure, of course.
And I think it's also good, you know, that they continue like that. So. Okay, for South Italian wines in Switzerland. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, in fact, I have to admit, if I must be honest about my Tannico experience, I did buy some. I bought about maybe 50% Italian, but I did buy 50% international things that, frankly, we don't find in the local wine shop. Okay. Yeah, the Tannico is fabulous. Yeah, they're wonderful and not even heavy, these boxes. The man, believe it or not, he asked me to move my zerbini, right? The little doormats near the door so that I was like, no, just leave them over there by the elevator. That's fine. I said, I could do your job, I told him. I could do your job. I've carried so many heavy things in my life. Just leave them there by the elevator. I'll go get them after you've left. Oh, goodness. I was like,
no, but actually, I mean, that's cool. No, but I mean, the delivery service are normally very good. But I also think what interests me, I mean, at least living here, is the non-Italian wines you can get, because it's really hard in general to get non-Italian wines here. So I think that's what would push me to also order more online.
And that is what I'm going back to what I was saying about, finding my geography in my glass here. I did buy a few South African wines, which I have been wanting to do for a long time, because I've been to South Africa a few times, and I adore their wines, and I keep wanting to buy them online here. So it finally was the moment. And the other place that I will travel to virtually through my wine glass is New Zealand, which has been high on my list of places to physically go and see. And I hope to get that opportunity, because, all of a sudden our bucket lists suddenly tightened up, It's like, well, I better go review my priorities, because I don't know how this is going to affect our future travel. So, I've drunk a good deal of New Zealand and Australia. I've not yet been to those places, but New Zealand, for some reason, is a little higher on my list.
So let's get back a bit to the fact about, we were talking about wine sales, how they're going up in this period, and so I thought we could do a question here, like, so how many of the people here following is buying more during this period? Now, I know in Sweden still they're a bit behind, so they still think that this virus is something that is just fleeing over them, because Swedes are so, well, I mean, it's true that the density of the population is not as high, so it probably will take longer before the virus reaches its peak. I'm still trying to tell my family and friends to be careful, but I think they're a bit tired of listening to me, so they don't really, they just tune out and go out and then stay together in groups as if nothing was happening in the rest of the world. But let's see. I'm a bit dubious. I don't really believe in the experts in Sweden that much, but that's my part. But I mean, it's okay. But for the rest of you who are here and who are in some place in the world, part of the shelter in place or the lockdown, if you're buying more wine or more things online and And what's your experience? I mean, I even got my mother in Sweden to buy her groceries online now. So I think that is pretty cool. She's like 80 years old, so if she can do it, I guess anyone can do it.
Exactly. You're hearing from Karina there is saying that they are being careful. Huh?
No, that's good. But still, it's not that. They're more careful now, I think, than a week ago. But still, people are going out, so
yeah,
and hanging together.
I guess the other question is also, you know, how equipped are the hospitals? Because really, I think containing the spread, certainly for people's health, but maybe even more so to safeguard the healthcare system so that it isn't inundated all at once. I mean, we are going to live with this for some time to come. So we're going to have to continue to use great good caution, like they are hopefully doing in Sweden, and kind of, like they said the other night, learn to live with the coronavirus. So moving into a phase where we live with it and figure out how we can resume some semblance of life. I'm not even going to use the word normal. I don't think the word normal can be used anymore. Are we in agreement on that? I think the word normal has to be struck from our vocabulary. I don't want to hear new normal, old normal. I don't want to talk about normal at all. Let's just talk about going, you know, living our lives. And since our lives involve wine, and I guess the people who are listening and participating with us today, their lives involve wine to some degree, whether you're a producer, whether you sell it, whether you just drink it, whether you talk about it, whether you try to sell it more for the people who are making it. Somehow our lives will include wine. And how are we going to do that now? I just, I opened that door, I opened that Tannico door. And
well, I think this is interesting, actually, because I mean, also for Sweden, I think it's going to change in general, because Sweden, of course, has the monopoly. But I just learned that actually, according to EU directive, they're not allowed to forbid sales of wine online via third parties, because it's actually a law in all of Europe. So, but then of course the monopoly in Sweden is hiding this because nobody wants it, because of course where would they earn money in Sweden if not on taxes on spirits? So there are kind of online e-commerce operators who are not trying to enter that market, and to also inform people. I mean, I've also been asked about this, to help out to inform people in Sweden about that it's actually legal, because a lot of people are afraid to do this, thinking they would be arrested. Then, of course, right, they go and kind of, buy in Germany as much as they can, pimpering alcohol. But it's actually not prohibited any longer, and Sweden cannot hinder it either. If somebody, then they have put up certain rules that makes it a bit more difficult to do it. But if you are a well-organized e-commerce, you can manage even to do this. You just have to have a kind of a register office in Sweden somewhere that can handle the tax, the border tax. So I think this is interesting, because I think Sweden is going to have to deal with this much more in the future, that also the rest of Europe can sell online wine and spirits in Sweden more effectively, and also send it, like, and it's not only the Swedish e-commerces who are registered with a monopoly who can do this, but it's actually anyone. And I'm going to be curious about how the monopoly is going to deal with this, because I think they're going to do everything to hinder it and to make it difficult. But we'll see.
Well, I think it will be very interesting to see I think there'll be a proliferation of sites, e-commerce sites, that will give some competition to Tannico and company.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a big new area. And really, having just done my one little expedition there of spending a couple of hours online to really look at everything that they had and try to get a sense, I didn't really get a sense. Okay. And that's already interesting. And here I'm giving some very valuable information. They don't really have, if you ask me, an identity. Their identity was to be the online wine shop. Well,
But
you
still,
know
there's
what?
a lot more. I mean, they're not the online wine shop. They're big, but they're not,
They're the most famous. They're the most famous.
Yes, but I usually shop with others that I found had a more niche selection. Because I also ordered like to have sent to Sweden and stuff before. I mean, I worked more with wineries. And I actually, I mean, I used Tannico a couple of times here, but I've never used it. I used other also. Sorry, that was the wrong one.
Well, I'm talking about in Italy, obviously, because that's where I am. I mean, if you're going to talk about the States, there's
no, but there's a lot of in Italy too who sells online that I meant that I used here, and I can't remember the names, but there are a couple in Milan. Yeah, food from restaurants. Deliver home. That is true.
People ordering food from restaurants. Yeah, I mean, this is very much country to country. I'm not sure how many restaurants in Italy are still doing.
Oh, there's a lot. It's big. I mean, with Just Eat, there's really a lot of them who does it. I wanted to do it, but then I've not done it so far because I went shopping instead.
Yeah.
But
depends on your city. You're in Florence, Milan, Rome are going to have, maybe Naples are going to have a big offering.
That is true. That is true.
I'm already in a city that's not, I can tell you, I would be surprised. I could go online and see, but I don't think there's going to be that much available because it's not the custom of the people, right? And
that is true. That is true.
The restaurants have to really, fare I conti, we say. They really have to do their homework, their math, before they say to a chef, a sous chef, or a delivery boy, yeah, I want you for these 4 days a week. They have to know that they're going to be able to sell before they go and buy because it's all shut down. So I will do that homework now too for my city, which is Genova, where I am right now, and see who's out there because.
Yeah. But what is interesting, which I think is that the beer association, like the artisanal beer producers, they early on made a partnership with, I think that these kind of who delivers, I think it's Just Eat or who delivers food from restaurants to make the restaurants have the beer so they could order it also with the food and have it delivered as a way to sell. And I think that's very interesting. Which could also be an idea for smaller wineries, because this was a way for smaller beer breweries to kind of still sell, because it's not that easy for them otherwise to get their beers out. And I think it was Carlo Visti who sent me that article, and I thought that was very interesting. And then also that another thing I was thinking about when you think about food is that I saw also he sent me article about smaller alimentari and also tabaccheria who has different things they sell, who organize themselves to take orders online and also do home deliveries. And I think that is something that many could become much better at, because this is also kind of the opportunity to develop these things and to have an extra service, no?
Absolutely, which is what I'm starting to say with taking the quote unquote Tannico model. And hats off to them that they did it first, they did it best, they did it bigger, whatever. But that said, just as a wine shop needs to find its identity, right? I mean, we're out in our life. We go to that wine shop because we know they've got this, or because we know that they have a certain amount of rotation that they do because they're always on the lookout for new wines. We're going to find something that we maybe don't know or that we haven't seen in a while. I mean, just as they have their identities, not to mention, like I have a little wine shop here in Genova that I love that has the vini eroici, right?
Yeah.
The heroic wines, the wines that are cultivated on steep slopes and only harvested by hand and don't have any machinery. And it's a whole winery of only those vini eroici, which is great. The online wine shops will be able to do the same kind of thing. Really, the creativity is.
But I think also what is important here is that it's an important channel for the wineries that many have not kind of developed yet, and I think they should do more. And I think that this could also be the period to research that more, no?
So you're talking about.
I said it before, but I say it again. I mean, I think it's an important channel that will come for the future much more, and I think you also have to be kind of prepared to research it better and to be there, because also, like in this moment, if something would happen again, I mean, you would actually have a channel where you could sell, which would be easier than, you know, at least to have a part that goes out for sales, because a lot of wineries now are struggling. So it's
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, the smaller wineries that need to not just get their product out there, they need to get their name out there. They need to get their identity out there. Otherwise, you know, you have two choices. You sell directly, you know, online, but directly, or you sell through Tanico, Equipe, Louis.
Yeah.
One of the, okay. So you've got two choices. If people don't know you, or not enough people know you, you know, how can you reach a broader public? I've been getting the emails from wineries that in effect I do know, or that do know me. So that is a very direct kind of approach to get an email saying we invite you. But how?
No, but that's what they're doing now. They're choosing the audience now. I think there would be a growth factor there that could be very interesting, which I'm not going to reveal here. But I think it could be done in another way, which would give them much more growth in that sense. But at least it's a first step that they realize that they can actually use Zoom, which nobody wanted to use Zoom a couple of years ago. Now they've realized the potential, which I think is very good. And yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good to have these tasting, because it's also another way to do these kind of things in a more sustainable way, without having to always wait that you have the person in person somewhere here to meet them, but that you actually send the wines and then you can have a meetup in a virtual setting. And a contact of mine who phoned me today about a virtual tasting with wineries, actually, when she wanted me in, she told me that they send around to people now, but some people are still saying they don't want to be in a virtual setting, but they accept the wines and to taste them on their own. So I guess there's still a bit of a reluctant, also among the journalists and bloggers, that they don't want to be on a virtual tasting, which I find a bit odd. But if you're doing this for work, you should be open-minded to these kind of things. But I guess that's okay if you want to do it on your own. So what do you think about the social media presence? Do you think it's been less, as you mentioned, the last week or so?
Well, I think somebody ought to plot the graph here, because I do think that there was a mad rush to be social on social media. And this, people, is already our 4th week in lockdown in Italy, right? We're in the 4th week. I think it went, you know, shot up, and then people started to get like too overloaded with everybody. And then it went down. And I think we're in that down phase right now, which is also interesting because we are social creatures. And I think I might have said it last time when we were talking, wine is a social thing. It's more social than fashion. It's more social, right? Food and wine are social.
Hello, Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, I know. I also thought it was very strange that the journalists would say no, that they prefer to taste them on their own, but they accept the wines.
Well, I don't think it's strange. I'm gonna voice the other side, and it's not just devil's advocate. I'm sort of on that side too. It's very hard to participate in a televised, live tasting and not appear to be endorsing that wine. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think it's more difficult than if you're in presence in person. I mean. But
if you're in person, who's seeing you? I mean, are we talking about what live tastings?
No, because they're closed tasting. It's not like they do the public ones. They choose the people and they're closed tasting. So there might be like 2 or 3 people. It's not like they have 100 people there. So it would be like they had a press lunch in a restaurant.
I still think it might have something to do with the fact that just as we are live right now, but this stays in an archive, which can be viewed again, which is great. But if you're participating in a live tasting that is in a room someplace with other journalists, nobody's filming you, and it's never going to be recorded and staying beyond that moment.
Cool, Peter. Yeah, but still, I think that's to take it very far. I mean, yeah, I can understand that point of view, but still.
I mean, why else would they?
If you're in this profession, I think you also have to be able to deal with that and to also shape what you say in accordance. I mean, you don't have to be that you endorse. I mean, I think it's very easy to say I was participating in this live stream as upon invitation. It's like when you write about a winery that you say that I got the wines for free, but this doesn't mean an endorsement of the winery other than writing the article. I think it's the same, which also the winery, if they would use that video for something, they would have to ask permission first, and they would also have to write, this was a virtual wine tasting. It doesn't mean we have the permission of that and that person to post it. I mean, because they couldn't post it without asking permission beforehand anyway, since it's a closed tasting. But I think it's probably more that people doesn't know how it works and they don't know these things. And I think that's probably the problem, that they would be afraid because they don't know this, perhaps. I don't know.
They don't know how to use the technology?
No, but they don't know that people cannot really use it without asking beforehand. And if they would use it, they would have to explain these things explicitly.
I'm afraid that, people do use things illicitly, and
yeah, but then if they do, it doesn't take much to discover that. So it wouldn't be. I mean, they would do it once or twice, but then it's very risky, which is me.
I don't know. I think that otherwise, I'm with Peter. I mean, where's the reluctance coming from? If not, I don't know. Why wouldn't they do it otherwise?
I think it also might be that they don't want to be. I mean, they're not feeling comfortable on being on video. I don't know. A lot of people are not comfortable with that. I guess it's also about generation there, I think. So it might be.
Well, I think it's happening in the academic world too. The students and the teachers are not taking to this virtual classroom setup. And again, I think it just reminds us that we are really social creatures. We need to be together. The virtual platforms are a wonderful way to bring people together. You're in Florence, I'm in Genoa. There are people watching us in Boston. Shout out. But in other countries, which is great. That said, if we were not in coronavirus, we'd all be looking more forward to seeing each other and making plans to be actually together in the same room and sharing in a social manner the wine and the food that we pair with the wine. I think that, I think it's a very interesting confirmation of our humanity that we are experiencing by having to be in our own little places by ourselves.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And maybe talk about.
No, I mean, there's differences between people, so it's completely normal that not everyone is into it, and others are feeling it as more natural. So I think that's fairly normal. I mean, in certain areas, it's also a new phenomenon. In others, it's not. So I think it's also what you're used to and what you're not used to. So, but I think it will come more and more. Also, step by step, as people get more used to using it, then of course it's never going to in any way replace in-person contact, because it will not. But it can be a good kind of addition to doing things,
right?
I think. And of course, I mean, when I started doing it in the Translator Association, they were very scared there too, and they were very kind of standoffish. I mean, I was the one who introduced them to Zoom, and now they all use Zoom. But then it was like, a horrible tool, and another horrible tool. But it was like, and they were of course very preoccupied with having the disclaimer sign and stuff, which is okay. You need to have that. And then when people said no, you would just put, an emoticon face over their heads in photos and stuff, and which you have to accept, and that's okay. But that's also, you could see the change from year to year, because it was also a thing that people were scared. They were scared to appear publicly, either out of shyness or either that they were, thinking that they don't want anyone to see them.
Yeah.
But you could also see the change step by step as they got used to it, and people who had been the most reluctant in the beginning then started to think it was like the best thing ever, because they kind of found it was really good and really fun and useful. Right. So I think it's also like, and then other people who might still, think that it's nothing they like much, and that's okay, because not everybody can be, into one thing. So, but I think it's also
technology. We talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago when we talked about the use of video. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and how I mentioned that it's very much like when cameras were for movie picture cameras first were used by normal people, right? I mean, you see those old movies of like a family at a family gathering and everyone's standing like this, but it's a movie camera and nobody's moving, right? And somebody there is saying, move.
Yes, for sure, Peter.
Yeah.
So should we click in, Judith? Do you want to?
Sure.
So we have Judith from Boston, right? Hello, Judith. Yes. You're live now.
Buonasera. Buongiorno. Ciao, le ragazzi. How are you?
I'm fine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. New life in Corona, huh? Crazy.
Do you want to present yourself, Judith? Just briefly, who you are?
Sure. My name is Judith Fabre McDonough. I am the owner of Mariposa Wines and Spirits here in Massachusetts. I'm an American importer and distributor, specializing in Italian wines, French wines. I'm a member of Le Donna del Vino in Italy in the Tuscan delegation. I'm also a member of Les Dames Escoffier here in Boston, and I'm the president of our chapter as well. And I'm also a member of La Chaîne des Rôtisseurs, a dame of la chaîne professionnelle of le vin. Having said all that, we are not out again right now. We're not social. We're not doing what we normally do. Everything, we're on lockdown. It's canceled. We received the mandate from Governor Baker on May 10th that all bars and restaurants must be closed. And restaurants are only doing takeout at this time. Some of them do it, some of them have not. People are receiving their groceries online, wine online. Wine shops are considered an essential business. Last week or 8 days ago, all non-essentials 10 days ago were shut down as well.
Right.
So everybody is functioning in a new fashion. I hear you ladies are talking about Zoom, and we're doing Zoom conferences. We've been doing Zoom. We do Zumba on Zoom.
Right.
Yeah, I read about that they have these Zumba
yoga.
Yeah.
You know, we are so fortunate right now with the technology that we have, that we can remain connected to friends and family globally, share a glass of wine, look one another in the face, like I can see you right now. I'm still on coffee, though.
It's
still early for you.
You don't want to see a wine glass in your hand at this hour.
Well, we do have wine with lunch every once in a while, but it's what's happening. And you ladies have been doing a good job discussing what the current climate is right now. It's amazing. You folks have
I think it's important to discuss it, because it is changed and it has changed. I mean, in Italy it has changed a lot. I mean, I wasn't criticizing Sweden before, because I know that it's a different situation there. The population is much smaller, so as I said, I think it's much slower to spread also. So of course they don't have the same problems yet. I think there will come a peak also there, which will be much more intense than they have now. But of course, it's different for each country. I mean, US has a big population too, so it's a big problem. I mean,
New York is the epicenter here in the United States right now. Massachusetts, I believe, is number 6 or number 7 in cases. We are not even peaked yet to even flatten the line. And people need to stay home. Stay home. No gatherings, no parties. My daughter, I saw her the other day, but we saw each other from far away, 10 feet, hello. She is a manager of a steakhouse. She says, Mom, they gave us all this food. Come get some steaks. Well, of course, I was not going to say no to a steak. And she's wiping the package off with the sanitary antibacterial wipes to hand and placed it in the car. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's
Paolo De Renzi is here. Now I don't know Paolo exactly, but Paolo, if you want to present yourself more, I'm going to look you up now, because I recognize you, but I can't remember. But there's a lot of people listening in, so we're very happy about that they're interested in our discussions about online presence, coronavirus, lockdown, communication.
Wine tastings.
Yeah.
Virtual travel.
Yeah.
Travel through your glass.
Yeah.
True.
What country would you like to be in? And I heard Suzanne saying that, you know, we do this together. We eat and drink together. That's how we gather. It's been a way of creating comfort, community, a way of life. I mean, now you can go to a museum virtually.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He's actually in Sweden. How cool.
But that's not a really Swedish name, Paolo.
No. Probably he married a Swede, perhaps. The classical.
How's the weather over there, ladies?
Gorgeous.
Here it's very beautiful weather. I mean, I think it's not warm, but it's not cold either, so it's a bit early spring weather.
Yeah. It's gray here in Massachusetts and New England.
That's what makes it harder. We had 2 days of gray weather, I think, during the first week, and it was not good. But it's been sunny ever since, which is, it's a little easier, it's better, but it makes one want to go outside, and we can't. So.
True. Yeah, he's Italian. We understood that.
I go out, I drive my car for about 6 or 7 miles with the windows down and go back home.
Yeah, see, we're not even allowed to do that. I know in the States you can.
We can. I mean, and really, there's barely anybody on the road.
No.
Barely. Just trucks. Mostly trucks.
I mean, I think that's the hardest thing, that you can't go out even to take a long walk, because you're not allowed to do that anymore, because people were breaking the rules. So, but I heard from Matthew and from the Exotic Wine Travel. They're in Croatia for the moment, and they said that they could register online for an e-pass to see friends, like in safe ways, like in a distance, but they registered so people knew that, you know, the state knows that you have met in case something would happen. And you could register for having, you know, a meetup, which I think is still, you know, if it's on a safe distance, that you're not kind of, you know, I think that's okay. Well, but I don't know how the virus has spread in Croatia. I don't know the situation there, so it might be a bit less intense than in other countries. I don't know.
Well, it's such a silent foe that we deal with, because you don't know where you get it. It lasts
that's true.
72 hours on plastic, on cardboard for only 24, in the air 3 hours, water droplets. You have no idea where or who or how. So it's the constant washing hands. Don't touch your face. Wear a mask. If you have gloves, use them.
Yeah. Gloves. People can use gloves of any type. You know, I have a million gloves, and I've been using, I also have the latex gloves, but I prefer to use those for dirtier things. I mean, if you go out with a pair of your cotton or wool gloves, you take them off at the washing machine, because surprise, soap and water kills the virus. So if you throw everything in the washing machine, it's going to come out clean. If you take them off and put them into the washing machine and then wash your hands, you're going to be clean. That's okay. But, you know, it's just being aware of all of this and being on top of it and not making a mistake. I mean, this morning, to go out to do my food shopping, I got to the front door and put on my boots, which were already outside the front door, 3 times before I actually left the house, because I'd always forgotten something. I was like, I forgot the mask. I went back and got the mask. Then I go back and I forgot my sunglasses, and I went back and I got, but
it's amazing, huh?
Because we only do it once a week. I only did it once 10 days ago. So I forgot. I didn't write down the list of all the things I needed. So, it's a little crazy.
No, I mean, I don't use a mask because I don't have one. In the end, I try to keep the distance, so I think it's...
I just bought some fashion masks. I plan to show
model them.
Yeah, I'll model them. I will post. Post.
I have one. It's it has carbon filters. You can wash the mask. You insert the new filters. It's black. It's very elegant. It's my little black dress mask. We have to find some humor and some joy in this time, and find how to create our, I heard you guys say earlier, the new normal.
Well, it is a new normal. I mean, before... I also had this discussion on LinkedIn the other day. The guy there, I think he's from the US, he was putting a post about how it will be after the coronavirus with wineries in Napa, for example, that, you know, they're starting to get aware that they will not be able to go back to the old normal, because obviously people are going to be afraid to be, you know, in a big groups at the winery for tasting, so they will have to start probably kind of, you know, structure how they do the visits, and that they have to be more kind of, you know, scheduled for a certain amount of people. And I think in Italy they will have to start doing the same. I don't know how many have thought about this before, but I don't think this year it's going to be hard to get people, because they will be afraid even if they come. So it's not like you can open your winery and have people come again, like in Tuscany. You will have to have some sort of strategy there, I think.
Well,
hygiene is going to be key. Hygiene, cleaning, you know, after people.
Yeah, but also to limit the amount of people, you know, you can't just have people drop in and having like a lot of people at the same time, or like for bigger wineries, or, you know, also for smaller wineries, having, you know, groups that are stuck together. Well, so I think that is also going to have to change, at least for the next year or so, until, you know, things
until the vaccine and a medicine that's specific to this disease. Yeah.
Well, I heard the governor of New York talking about the fact that eventually people will start to go back once the peak happens, once they're getting people out of hospitals. They're looking at better testing. That testing, you can test yourself at home. You know if you have it or not. It's going to change the face of travel, all of it.
Yeah.
Restaurants, people sitting in bars, people going to restaurants, going to theater.
I mean, frankly, right now, would you, if they said tomorrow we can go out, would you go out?
No.
No, it's like it's taken a little bit of that joy and the immediacy of, oh yeah, I'll just go get a meal in the I'll be like, can I go back in the kitchen and see who's working here?
Right.
Can I give a health test to everybody before I
No, I mean, I would do it, but I would check out, you know, how they do. I mean, so you don't sit too close to other people. I mean, I would ask about those things because, you know.
I think that, you know, it's going to be a new way of being. I think people are going to have to be very vigilant with themselves and understand the fact that this is silent. The testing, the working on how to interact again. We can't touch each other. Can't.
Not right now, anyway.
No, and we're human beings. It's sad.
I mean, this is a death for all singles. I mean,
well,
the only happy people from now on are going to be the married.
Well, it either can make.
But then also the married people would be afraid, you know, if some of them have an affair. I mean, what is going to happen there? You know, you will have to have a screening at home.
Right.
We went through the AIDS thing. I mean, we'll get through this. You know what I mean?
No, we will. We'll figure it out. It will. They'll find a vaccine. They'll create something. We'll make it.
I want to. We're talking a lot about the things that maybe are making some of our listeners tense because these are topics that are tension producing. So I want to inject a little bit of lightness and show something that someone gave me a few years ago. It's a wine lover's coloring book. Oh, and I have never used it, but I have my beautiful markers ready to go because they say coloring is really good for you.
How pretty. Where'd you get that?
It was a gift. It was a gift. You know, we wine lovers get all kinds of, I mean, gimmicky gifts or gadgety gifts, right? And this was a gift actually from a Dame d'Escoffier from New York. And I looked at it and I was like, when the heck am I ever going to have time to color? Well, P.S.
We have time to color.
Artwork. Coloring is supposed to be very relaxing. That's why children are so cool with it. You know, it's just really relaxing. So I think I'm going to, I've put it out. I've retrieved it from its little gift hiding place. And I'm ready to use this strategy. You know, one day we work out, one day we play the piano, one day we'll color a little wine coloring book.
Inside or outside of the lines?
Inside the lines.
I'm just checking.
We could make a shout out and say to the people who are listening, who are wine lovers, what are you doing for your, you know, relaxing strategy and technique? Because communicating is important. It makes us social. It gives us interaction. But over communicating can produce tension. So that's when we need our little strategy. And I've got my little coloring book. What are you all?
So you should play the piano one day too for us.
I would love to.
That would be great. I did it for a friend the other night. I was having a glass of wine. We were talking, and I sat down and goes, "Oh, it's a music lounge now." And talk about wine.
Right.
The notes in wine, the notes in music. What's the difference?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, but I mean, it's, I don't know if over communication, but I think tension is rather that you are at home and you realize that, you know, sometimes you realize that the only contact you have is online, and it becomes a bit too much at a certain point, not because of over communication, but rather because you get frustrated because you can't see anyone, you can't just go out and have a chat with someone. I think, I mean, that's for me at least, but then.
So are you folks not allowed to walk outside?
No.
Walk nothing.
No, we can go to the supermarket, but if they find you going to the supermarket every day, you will get a fine because you do not have to go to the supermarket every day.
Wow.
Because there were people like going 3 times a day to the supermarket.
Yeah.
Just to get out all the time, where they went, once to the supermarket, once to the, pharmacy, once to the.
This is what the government, this is what we have to fill out from the government. It's a huge form.
Wow.
And you have to put like your mother's maiden name. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. You don't need to put your mother's name. But you have 4 reasons that you can go out. One is that you're going to work, but it has to be proven that you're doing the kind of work that that is allowed.
Right.
One is that it's an absolute emergency that you go to a different town. Otherwise, you're not allowed out of your town. Okay. You're not allowed out of your town. You have to stay within your town. Okay. If you're going out for a situation of need, and that's considered a pharmacy, a supermarket.
Right.
Okay.
Doctor's appointment.
No, that's health, and that's the 4th one. The 4th one is health. Yeah. But the situations of need are of a daily nature, but you're not allowed to go out daily. Okay. And there is a distance that is allowed by law, which is 500 meters or half a kilometer.
Arm's length transactions, huh?
It's wild.
A new spin on it.
Yeah.
But also because, I mean, who told me the other day that they had arrested or given a multa fine to someone who had gone out with no, that was you, no? Who said the thing with the dog, bringing the dog leash, but he didn't have a dog.
No, that wasn't me.
They had kind of, stopped someone who was out with a dog leash, and he claimed that his dog had run off. And then they looked at the dog leash, and he was just bored because he still had the price tag on it or something.
That's great.
I mean, that's desperation to go out in any case.
Well, there was some TV show that did a list of those things. They had obviously called all different police stations and gotten the craziest excuses that the police were reporting, and then they put them all together. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we are not there yet. We're not, we are able to still go out, but I'm sure it will get worse for us as well as the numbers climb.
Well, I mean, what I think is because Italy was still the first in Europe and, in the Eastern world. So, of course, it took a while for them to react, but they were fairly fast, but still they were hit really hard here. I think what I think I would want for as I see for the Northern European countries, is you have all this data now, and you have all this, you can see how it evolves. So it would be much easier to be preventive in this moment, because you didn't have all this information 1.5 months ago, because you only had China and Korea, but you didn't have all this information yet. So I think also in the US, they reacted fairly okay. Trump probably knew since January, but he didn't do anything. But still, when he started to know.
We don't want to go there.
No, that's true.
They didn't do it. They didn't react. They fired the coronavirus team in 2018. So it's unfortunate for us. We're 2 months behind. Yeah. And now everybody is pulling and doing everything they can. The governors, Governor Cuomo, Governor Baker, my governor, Governor Gavin Newsom in California, they're doing a remarkable job. But most importantly, the unsung heroes, the doctors, the nurses, the lab techs, we're grateful to all of them. But let's go back to wine sales.
Yes.
It's going to be a very challenging time for wineries, small and large alike. I think the reminding people of who you are and giving that human touch, which we always talk about, tell your story. And what story do they want to tell? They want to tell the story of their area, their terroir, their land, their family. And it's so hard to distinguish yourself everybody's got a family, everybody's got a beautiful vineyard, right?
Right.
I mean, if you've got a vineyard next to a garbage dump, you're not going to show it. I mean, usually they've got vineyards in gorgeous nature places, and as I write on my blog, good wine doesn't grow in ugly places. Good wine always, guarda caso, grows in beautiful places. So, but how do you distinguish yourself? Especially because and this is the thing about not being able to be social out and about, we're buying sight unseen. We're buying taste untasted.
That's a problem.
If you don't know the wine, you're going to buy it without knowing what it tastes like.
So it takes people like us to talk about it, and people trusting our opinion, our palate, because we've been to these beautiful places that make the wine. We've seen these people, we've touched these people. As you said, the terroir, the dirt, the culture, the history, the majesty of the region and what it is. It's a sharing. It takes a lot of time to put that wine in the glass before it gets to the consumer.
That's right. And it takes a lot of time on our end to do all of that homework.
That's right.
Sure.
Can't do, right? If they've got different jobs, they can't do what we do.
No. What are you drinking, my friend?
Primitivo di Manduria.
Ah, Primitivo di Manduria. Fantastico. Great. Marched on by Greek soldiers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking Italian. I'm drinking Swiss wine.
I'm drinking Peach Sumatra, which is now ice cold. I mean, there's wine from all over the world. What wine are you? What world are you from? Or what country are you from?
It's true, Peter. It could be harder, so we're not complaining.
No. We're grateful for what we have. We're grateful we have our health, number one. And now we're learning what the value of health really is. People take so much for granted, and we have the ability to share our stories, to share wine, to share recipes that go with these wonderful wines.
Absolutely.
But I think this is another part that might become even more interesting, and hopefully a lot of wineries will realize that now, that it's not just to have any influencer who has a lot of followers to promote you, but that you also have someone who knows who you are and what you do.
Right.
Who knows your area, who knows what is typical of the region you're producing your wine in, who has actually been there, who knows what you're talking about. I mean, in the US now, it's already more developed towards these micro influencers and micro, who has they might not have a huge following, which in the end doesn't matter, but they have a lot of knowledge, and they have these trusted people who follow them, who trust in their knowledge. And I think that's also going to be, at least in Italy, become more important, I think in the future, because
right, moving forward, who are the influencers?
Well, I think it goes back to quality. I think unfortunately, when there's a lot of movement, a lot of things happening, there's space for everybody. And, everybody carves out a little niche. When it comes to a moment like this, you're really going to have to look for quality. And, it's the same with online education. Are you just going to sign up for any old course on there? Or are you going to now, Harvard is giving their classes for free. People can actually take a Harvard class. They're doing this as a gesture of solidarity towards the general public, because
I saw that.
we need quality. We need quality thoughts. We need quality in everything we do, right? Quality in the glass, quality on the table, right? Your immune system also needs to be boosted. How do you boost your immune system? By being happy, by having plenty of antioxidants. Katarina, I think I gotta switch to red.
Happy endorphins.
We need to put positive thoughts in our heads. We need to have good quality food and wine. I'm all for talking about food maybe and some of the recipes that we pair, because hey, we're getting up in the morning. I don't know about you folks, but after my coffee, I'm like, what can I look forward to as dinner tonight? Because there isn't a whole heck of a lot to look forward to in the day.
Well,
food and wine is like the happy moments of the day.
It's a happy moment. Even for a single person living by themselves, you're like, oh, it's something.
Aperitivo time, right? First aperitivo, and then what are we making for dinner?
Absolutely. But quality is going to be the name of the game. Shout out to the wineries,
But I'm convinced about that too. And I mean, a lot of people are saying it now. They also have this similar to our live streams, but they have the Zoom meetings from the Meininger organizes once a week, I think. Mm-hmm. And I saw that they were discussing the other week these things too, and some of them said that they also thought that there would be a cleaning out of a lot of influencers that had a lot of followers, a lot of success, but when these things happen, they're just going to disappear because they're a lot of people they can't afford to pay their workers, so of course they're not going to spend on any person who just kind of wants money to promote their wine. I think there's going to be a shift there towards looking to quality for sure.
There are the small producers, as we say, the garagiste, family owned. That's what I've been specializing in. I was speaking to one of my clients last night, which is a package store. The liquor stores are still open. And she said, people want quality mid-price wine. They don't want high right now. They don't want low. They want right in the middle. Quality, good wine, good price. And that's what we have to figure out.
It's a great moment, if you think about it, for many wineries because of that logic in the market. High-end wines are always going to be for either, extremely special occasions or people who really know what they're drinking and want that wine. But I
think it's also a moment.
Wine consumer right now is not eating out. So they're spending more money on the wine because they can, because they're not spending. When you go to a restaurant and you're paying a 300% markup or more, you're not going to the restaurant. So maybe making something, like we were just saying, making something nice at home because it's a moment to look forward to, and they're spending more money on wine. That's a great bit of news for a lot of the wineries if they can get their product out there.
But I think it's also, as you said, it's a good opportunity, but I think it's also a good opportunity for people to discover that you can get a really, really high quality wine that doesn't need to cost that much. Because there's also a lot of high quality wines that don't cost that much. It doesn't have to be a Maceto. It doesn't have to, because they cost a lot, because they also, they have a lot of marketing value pressing up the price. But in the end, there are a lot of wines where very close to that level, but they don't cost like a lot. And I think for a lot of wineries who make really, really good wines, but perhaps have difficulties because they're smaller or mid-sized to get out their wines, I think this could also be an opportunity.
I think there's opportunities for many, depending on how everybody positions themselves, finds a new niche.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, you have to be a bit,
and people might be open to looking and tasting to very different varietals, because they only stay with some particular varietals because they're fearful of trying anything new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We have discussions about different varietals from different regions. It might start a new trend.
For sure. No, I think it can be good. I mean, of course, the wineries have to be open-minded to change a bit and to put a bit of effort into their. But I think there will also be a need for them. The one who will make it will have to make a bit of an effort, I think. I don't know.
Are people all working out in their vineyards right now? What's the story with that? What do you hear?
It really depends. It really depends on the region and on the economic ability of the winery to pay the workers when they're not making the sales that they were making.
Right. I see my champagne producer. He's out there pruning. He's doing everything, but he runs the winery himself, and it's family members that work at this winery. So I've been watching him online.
No, I think for the smaller ones, like also the family, it's okay because they can manage on their own somehow. But I think for the mid-sized, as we were talking about, I think 2-3 weeks ago, it's harder. Some of them told me because they have employees, but they can't pay them, so they put them in unemployment.
I know a number of wineries that are, sort of starting to say, okay, I'm not going to be able to make wine from that vineyard, from that piece of land.
Right.
So reducing the production of the 2020 vintage because they're making.
Because they're not selling now, so they don't know where to put the wine.
They're not selling now. So how are they going to pay the salaries of the workers? They're cutting back on the workers. They can only give attention to the vineyards. Which vineyards are they going to, focus their attention on, and then let the others go for this year?
Wow.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So what's your go-to wine that you like to drink when it's the first glass you want to grab?
I think it's, for the moment, I think it's Primitivo or Negro Amaro. But I like, of course, my Sangiovese also, so I shouldn't.
You, Suzanne?
Well, it depends. My go-to wine is what I've got, in the cellar this week. I have to confess, a little Cabernet Sauvignon always puts a smile on my face. So.
Okay. No, I tend to go to a Nebbiolo or Sangiovese, one or the other.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's true what Suzanne says. It depends also what you have.
Yeah, what's there, what's in the cellar, what's open. But I was just curious.
I mean, I lived in France, I'll admit, so I am partial to the Bordeaux.
I love the Burgundies. I like Bordeaux too, but my favorite are Burgundies.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Pinot Noir is not my grape. It's just not my grape.
But I need a Meursault.
No, I love Pinot Noir. I think it's one of my favorite grapes, actually. I don't like the Bordeaux so much. I like more the Bourgogne style.
You like the Burgundian style? Yes. Food and wine. Pinot Noir to start with. Paso.
And what are we going to end up with, though, is the question then, Paolo. What are we going to end up with?
Paolo De Renzi. He's into Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
If we start with Pinot Noir, then it's going to be like just uphill all the time. That's going to be steep.
Forever. There's my girl.
Yeah, but I love my Sangiovese. I have so many Sangiovese.
Hello, Michaela.
I was just reading about the woman manager of Chateau d'Yquem.
Chateau d'Yquem?
Yeah, she's wonderful. Wonderful. She's been running it since 1994. I didn't realize. I mean, that's a woman of wine, right?
Oh, I'll say a friend of mine had some the other night and sent me a text and said, "Miss you." I go, "Thanks."
Nah, that's nasty.
What kind of friend is that?
That's not a friend.
No. Like, here, drool. I said, "What'd you have it with?"
Yeah, the Alto Pinot Noir are fantastic. I agree.
Yeah,
which are you from, Paolo? If you want to share.
DJ in Friuli, I saw that. My text doesn't work, but that's okay. Paolo keeps coming in.
Okay. Thanks, Peter, for being.
Ciao.
Ciao.
No, I asked Paolo which region in Italy he's from, just to be curious.
Where is he from?
I don't know. We're waiting for his reply, I think.
I know someone in Tuscany with the last name De Rensis, but I don't know that if he's related in Tuscany.
Let's see what he says.
Toscana.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we covered a lot of topics today.
Thank you for the invitation, ladies.
You're from Rome. Okay.
Oh, Roma. Paolo's from Rome.
There's a lot of Romans from Lazio, people from living in Sweden in the Italian communities.
I think
also in Malmo there is some Roman.
There's a hotel in Rome that's got his last name. I think.
Is that what it is? Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ear.
So how do we want to round this up? We have already been here for
over an hour.
For over an hour, so I think we will end it here.
Sounds like we had fun, though.
Yeah. Umbria, London. That's not too bad. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
That's not a bad way to travel.
No.
In Città della Pieve. Cool. That's nice. So you have to stay in touch.
I was supposed to meet you, Paolo. I'm pretty sure we were supposed to meet. No, seriously, I just sent a message to a group that I'm on WhatsApp with, and we should have met a few weeks ago, but we were among the first people not to be able to do what we want to do because of coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell, it happens. So,
True.
We will. Yeah, exactly. The WSCT level 3. We were going to start off on our adventure, but we will get there. We will do it. Can't stop studying, can't stop drinking, can't stop learning, can't stop communicating. So,
true.
Who knows?
So today we've been talking about just to do a sum up, we've been talking about wine sales, the ups and downs of online communication. I think we covered a lot of stuff, and of course with the input from Judith from the US. And I think all of us think that quality will be ruling more after this, and that at the e-commerce sales will peak more. And will become more important also for wineries to look into, more than, at least in Italy, more than it has been so far. Yeah, so I think we will end this for this time, and we will be back next Thursday with another topic we will reveal to you very soon. So thank you to everyone who participated. From Peter to Paolo to Mihaela to Karina from Sweden, who went away a while ago. She had to leave.
She said bye.
And who else were there? I think also, Peter, I said, Marco. And so see you. I mean, you can stay on, and I will just end the live broadcast. Do you want to say something before we end for today?
Everybody, thanks for participating, and let's meet again, because we need to be our community, our wine communication community. And I think now more than ever, we need to reach out to each other and know that we're there and we're doing the same kinds of things, and that we'll go back to doing all the wonderful things face-to-face just as soon as it's possible.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you for allowing me to join.
No, for sure.
Yes, online wine sales are peaking. Wall Street Journal here in the United States is one of the big ones. And sadly, though, our restaurants will not be buying wine. but
Mm,
the liquor stores will. So that's where we are.
true. True.
Yeah.
So thank you. Ciao, grazie a tutti.
Ciao. So see you next week and have a nice weekend.
Salute.
Salute.
Salute. Ciao.
Ciao.